Hey YouTube, how you doing? This is Kevin. I wanted to do a quick little video on lighting. A gentleman asked me about lighting, if I could do a video on it, so I'm going to do it. Without actually doing it, and the reason for this is I ordered new lights. These are the lights I was going to use on it, but I had found another set of these lights. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to explain how to wire these aftermarket ones onto the bike. Now there are several ways of doing this and several parts you can use to connect the two wires. Okay, now the bike wiring for the directionals is going to be these little thin connectors. The black with the yellow stripe. Now this is a KM100. This is the same wiring as the KE100 and the KD100 or KD80, but some of those bikes don't have the wiring. So if it doesn't have the wiring, like if it's a KD, it may not have the wiring. So this one's got the gauges and all the wiring. Anyway, so you come down and you locate your wiring for your taillights. Okay, you should have a green one right here, a gray one, which is like right there, and then you're going to have two black with the yellow stripes. You can see it too well. There we go. Two black with yellow stripes. Those are your grounds. Then you have a green and your gray. One of those is for the right, one's for the left. Now your aftermarket is going to have a red and a black wire. So two of those. Okay. The red is going to go to the colored wire, either the green or the gray. The black is going to go to the black with the red stripe. Now there are several ways of connecting these. Okay, one, you could cut the end off here, use an extension wire, butt connector it, or solder it. And I'm going to show you the way I do it in a minute. But that's your wiring harness right there. Those are your wires for your two for the right, two for the left. A green, it doesn't matter which black and yellow wire you use because they're both connected to the frame. The green wire and the gray wire are connected to your switch up on your handlebars. Okay, so first things first, whenever you buy an aftermarket light fixture, it's going to come with a 12-volt bulb. That's the first thing that needs to come out. Take your cover off, remove your light bulb, because you're not going to get that thing to light. Not with this electrical system. So the light bulb you're going to use is going to be a regular standard bulb, and this is an 1129 6-volt single filament. Okay, there are multiple different types of filaments. This is a single filament, you can see right there. And if you look inside, you'll only see one. That thing in the very center is called a filament. If I can get I'm doing this in my kitchen, so I got a dirty floor from this bike already. Alright, so you can see one filament in there. Now I'm going to take you over, and I got a brake light bulb. And brake light bulbs are all two filament. See, you get the two dots on the end there? That's a double filament. That's a high and a low. So I'm going to put them side by side so you can compare the two. And see. One's got the single. One's got the double. Single, double, single, double. Okay, so doubles are used for brake lights because you got one light that stays on all the time. And then you got one that gets really bright when you pull the lever or step on the foot pedal. Now, on these ones, they have two different size pins. You have a pin up here and a pin on the short side. So let's see if we can get that. See how there's a difference on the height. Okay, and that's so you can only put the light bulb in one way, so it won't turn. Now if I take it out and turn it halfway around, 180, it'll latch right in. Now on these light bulbs, the single filament, the pins are in the same spot because it really doesn't matter which way you put them in. So this is how you can tell. Now, if some of the aftermarket wiring harnesses have two wires that are the exact same. They'll either be two black. I've seen two green on some of them. and I'm going to tell you how you can check to find out which one's your positive wire and which one's your negative wire. So what you're going to do is you're going to use one of these tools. This is called a multimeter. Okay, there's obviously proper ways of using them and improper ways of using them. But I'm going to cheat. I'm going to show you guys the simplest way to do this. If you look down here, let me just check this lens here for a second. There we go. Oh yeah, much better. If you look down here, you're going to see, see it or not? There we go. A diode and a audio. You're going to click that to audio. You're going to grab your two leads, and when you stick them together, hold on a second. Where is it? Here, there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the light fixture. In the center of it, you'll see the pin right in the center. We don't want to stick it all the way in case we hit the ground, so we're going to do the ground one. If you have your ground, then you obviously know which one's the positive. In this case, we know it's the black one. So when you touch it to the black wire, see if I can get this done here properly. There you go. You have continuity, but you're not going to have anything to the red wire. Just the black. Nothing. Okay, so we know that the black wire is the outer part. Let's see if we get to the light on this. This right here is your ground. The center part is your positive, which would be the red wire. Let's see right here. That right there is going to be the positive. So now we know that it's a single filament. We know which color. It doesn't matter which one of these colors it is. We know that the black on this is the negative, the ground. That's your ground right there. And that's your positive. So the positive is going to be connected to either the green wire or the gray wire. The black is going to be connected to the black with the yellow stripe. Now, there are several ways of connecting this. Okay? If you have your old fixture, like the old lights that came off of it, sorry about the movement of the film here, you can cut the wire right off the end of it and then connect it. Okay? Now a lot of people don't understand how to connect it. They strip the wires and then they put them together with electrical tape, and I'm here to tell you that is the wrong way of doing it. Electrical tape is not always a good source for this. Okay, you can use butt connectors. Let me show you a hold on 1 second. Okay, all right. I put together a bunch of different connectors. Okay, with some of these connectors, there are good things to them and bad things to them. Okay, for instance, the blue and these red connectors right here. Okay, the red is going to be from 22 gauge all the way up to 18 gauge. This one is going to be from 16 to 14 gauge, and then there's a green one or yellow that would go from there and up. Now these right here are the worst connectors right here. These are the worst connectors you could possibly put on. The reason for that is you strip your wire back, you put your wire in one end, you use your crimpers and you crimp them. Okay, when you crimping them, what happens is over time, it's a dirt bike, so water and stuff is going to get in that hole. It's going to turn the connector green on the inside, and then your wire is going to break off inside there, and you're going to lose your connection, and your light is not going to illuminate. Same thing with this blue one. Now, the blue one right here and this blue one, let me try to do this with the camera here. Okay, this blue one are the same, with one difference. This blue one right here has heat shrink built onto it. So after you crimp it, what you're going to use is a heat gun, and you're going to heat that up. Some people use a lighter, some people use a little micro torch. You can use whatever you want. it's going to shrink down the ends and it's going to seal around the wire. It's still not 100% a connection. Okay, I like to take my two wires and literally solder them together, like, you know, say this is one wire and my other finger's the other wire. I like to solder them, put them together, and then I use this. These are heat shrink tubes. You can get these at any auto parts store, and they literally go over the wire. You get different sizes and thicknesses, all the way up to big ones, and you heat them up with the heat gun, and they shrink around. They shrink around the wire, and give it an absolute perfect seal. Now, the reason why I like to solder is because it's the best connection you can possibly get. You're literally welding the two wires together. You don't need a fancy smancy one like this. In fact, this one's actually just a regular generic one plugged into the side of it, okay, with a thermostat control. Just because I do a ton of soldering, I protect the soldering iron. But this is literally a run-of-the-mill. It's nothing nothing fancy. Let's see if I can get the wattage on it. This is a 40 watt. You can get these at AutoZone. You can get these anywhere. There's nothing special about this soldering iron. Some people like to use the old style. If you're into hobby cars and stuff like that, then you probably use a big heavy induction. This right here, when you turn this thing on, it lights up and it has the room goes dark just from the wattage it takes. This one right here is a big one. This one's a 150 to 230 watt heat soldering gun. This thing right here is extremely powerful. This is good if you're going to do points on the KE100 and you got to undo the condenser. This is the gun you want. This gun right here is incapable of doing it. This one right here is you want. And this one right here, you can also use the big solder, where it takes a lot more to heat up with the slow 40 watt. So on the 40 watt one, see if I can remember where I put everything here. I got stuff everywhere. Let's see. It takes a thin solder. I don't remember moving it, but I must have. It takes a thin solder. Yeah, it's a I literally don't know where I put that. But anyway, same stuff, but this way is a lot thinner. Okay, so I recommend soldering the wires together and putting, soldering and heat shrinking them. That's the best way to go. I had this all set up to do this, and I messed up and I moved some stuff around, and I don't remember where I put everything. So I'm doing this in the kitchen. The wife is going to kill me. So basically what you're going to do, real simple, make sure you got your proper wires picked out. You're going to go positive or red wire to the green or the gray, depending upon what side of the bike you're on. The negative, which is the black, is going to go to the black and yellow. And all you got to do is make sure you connect those together. And then your lights will work. You can get any aftermarket light you want. When you order your lights from eBay, Amazon, wherever you get them, JP Cycle, wherever they send you, it's going to be a 12 volt light. So you pop your cover off. Make sure you order your light bulbs ahead of time. The lamps you're going to use is going to be called the 1129. That's the single filament bulb for the directionals. And same thing with the brake light. You can use any brake light system you want. You can use the KE100 style, the old 1972 KE100 style, and then all you gotta do is make sure you get the right bulb. So you're going to use a double filament on any brake light you want. They'll all fit. You just got to take the 12 volt light out and put the 6 volt light in. And this is a different number for the, what do you call it, the 6 volt double filament. which is on here someplace. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on there, but it's a different, it's the, yeah, I'm so tired, I don't remember. But I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's a 6-volt system to be in your manual. If you need to know, just ask me in the questions, and I'll let you know what the double filament number is. I'll look it up for you. So yeah, that's where we're at with the bike, and these are 6-volt systems. So make sure you have a 6-volt flasher. This is the flasher on the KM100s. It's underneath the seat, located right next to the battery box. If you have a KE100, it's up under here, over by your ignition coil. You don't need the tank to get it off on the KE100s, but that's where it's located. And the part number on this one is a Wagner flasher 236 6-volt, and that's the flasher you're going to need for that. If you put it all together and you're using old what do you call it there, light fixtures from another bike, make sure the socket is clean. It's imperative to have the socket clean and everything's grounded properly, or else it will not work. So that's it. I got my I mounted on already my KE100 lights on this thing, which is the same ones used on the KM100s, like in the 1980. So I figured I'd go with that. And I ordered another set of these to go on the back. So that's why I decided not to use these little ones, because I'm going to make it all uniform. So that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, I mean, these things are, it's pretty simple. Pretty simple. So remember, the best way to do it is solder the two wires together with a heat shrink tube. Heat it up, shrink it, and then you don't have to worry about it. Where a butt connector of even the type that heat shrink, you still have to worry about the heat shrink. Water can still, for some reason on these little ones, penetrate. But if you use the longer tubes like I have in there, the water can't get down that far, and then you're safe. You're protected. So it makes a better seal. You can cover it up nicely. You can solder if you're good at soldering. If not, then you can use these. There's all kinds of them. I've seen these right here twisted on the wires, and then they electrical tape them like you would in a house. But the problem is, once again, water can get in there, and when it does, it corrodes. Same thing like with this type. This type right here corrodes. Now this style right here, I forgot to show you this one. I want to talk to you about this one. This one is the type that you take the bare wires. This is a bigger connector. It's not the proper one for this, but you can get them your size, whatever gauge you want. This one here requires you to use the heat shrink tubes. So what you would do is you would slide the heat shrink tube over the wire. You take the two ends of the wire and butt them together. Hence the name butt connector. The butt ends of the wire. You'd connect the two, one on each end of it. One here, one wire there, crimp it. Then you'd slide your heat shrink tube over it, and then heat it up with the heat gun. And then you'd be all done with it. Those actually work out pretty well. So I've had pretty good luck with those. These ones right here are made cheap. When you crimp them down, it feels almost like you broke them. And you got to give them the tug test. You got to pull them apart, and you're afraid to pull them apart. These things are expensive, way more expensive than these ones. And these ones are just cheap. When you crush them down, sometimes you break the insulation. You could put a heat shrink tube over them. I suppose you could do that, but it's just not. They're not good. These ones right here, I wouldn't even bother with. These are for household. Excuse me, I'm tired. These right here are for household electrical, not for automotive or motorcycle. And these ones right here, this one right here is designed to interrupt the wire. So you put this, it opens up, and then what you would do is you would slide it over the wire and then put another wire into the top of it, crimp it down, and then close the top on it and lock it. you know, and then you'd be all set. But once again, it's a dirt bike, so you're gonna get water up in there. You're gonna get mud and dirt, crap, and it's gonna corrode it. So, and my KM100 cycle back and forth. This is the style light that took, but it doesn't match the format of the bike, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm so tired. So, yeah, hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, remember it's all about the quality and the way you do it that's going to make this bike last. And if you want it done properly, like 100% I mean, all these ways are proper, but the best way I find is to take the time and solder it, use the heat shrink tube, and then you don't ever have to worry about it again. You're not going to break. The wire will break somewhere else before it'll break at your connection. And that's what you want. You want a 100% solid thing, so when you put your head on your pillow at night, you know your bike is going to work, and not have to worry about it. So yeah, that's where we're at, and hopefully that helps if you have any questions. So remember, all the light fixtures you buy are 12 volt, industry standard. You're going to want to make sure you put it to a 6 volt bulb in there, the 1129 on your directionals, and hopefully that's a big help. Sorry for yawning. It's nighttime out, so I've been up since 5 a.m. and it's now 11:22 p.m. and I have to work tomorrow. But I wanted to get this video out there, so hopefully it helps out on request. And it's real simple. You're just connecting 2 wires to 2 wires, and single filament. Change your bulb. Make sure your connections are 100%. Because that's the key right there, is 100% connection. The best way, soldering. Second best would be the heat shrink tube. And on a dirt bike, I would not even think about using these little butt connectors. And by the way, if you do use the connectors, it's the red one you're gonna want. You're not gonna want to use the blue one on this bike. The wiring gauge is smaller, so this is the one you want, the red, but not this one. You'd want the heat shrink. It would look like this, but it'll be red. That's the one you want, the red. And yep, that's pretty much it. If you have your old one, I suggest you cut the wire off. Like what I would do is I would take this old fixture right here. It's actually a good one. Yeah, I would just take the wire off, cut it, put it into the connector here, and then solder the other end. That way you're not messing with these. And if you ever decide you want to go back to factory ones, now all you gotta do is unbolt and plug and play. So if you don't have the ability to do that, then you can cut the end and solder them if you need to. So hopefully this helps, and please subscribe. If you have any questions, please comment. I have no problem talking to you through how to fix this bike. They're real simple, they're real awesome, and 90% of the problems with these bikes are basic little problems, like as far as like idling, won't start. These bikes are known for eating spark plugs. What spark plug your bike takes. I can help you with all that. I know these bikes in and out. I own a few of them, and I just love them. They're great classic looking, fun bikes. I mean, especially when you get these things out there on a trail. This bike right here, I'm gonna raise it with the KE100 trail arm shocks and forks. And I'm gonna do a video on that. And I'm going to bring this KM100 that is street legal up to the KE100 height, and I'll be able to, I can ride on the road now, but I'll be able to ride it more comfortably at my ride height than I would be at the height of it for a child. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a real big blast. I cannot wait to ride this bike on the road. I'm actually going to put the plates on it this week. I got the battery on the charger right there. So it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a nice little bike, and once again, it's only got 1,606 miles. So this thing's a baby, and coming to me in a box, all together, this is just awesome. I cleaned up the motor a little bit, hit it with the pressure washer. You know, nice and clean. Everything works on this bike, which is awesome. There's no issues. I didn't have any issues putting this thing together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this works out for you. And once again, please subscribe. Excuse me. And if you have any questions or comments, by all means, please ask. And any question you think is a stupid question, I'm going to tell you right now, the only stupid question is the question you don't ask that you need the information for. So don't be intimidated, just ask it. And I have I'll answer you as quick as possible. Hopefully this helps out. Thank you. Have a good night.